The truth is far more comforting than most men realize. The average penis is not a disappointment, not a flaw, and not a problem waiting to be fixed. In fact, for the vast majority of men, it is exactly what nature designed it to be. And that design is far more capable than anxiety gives it credit for. A lot of men carry a quiet fear inside them. They do not always say it out loud, but they think about it in private. They compare themselves, they remember jokes, they notice images on screens. They hear people exaggerate, and little by little, they begin to believe that average means not enough. That belief can damage confidence, intimacy, and even the way a man experiences his own body. But confidence built on fear is fragile, and confidence built on facts is strong. Here is the first thing worth understanding. The human body is not designed to look like a fantasy. It is designed to function in real life. And real life is where pleasure happens. Real life is where touch, warmth, trust, timing, and desire come together. Real life is where intimacy becomes meaningful. The male body, in its ordinary form, is not a failure of nature. It is a product of it. And the average penis is, by definition, the most common expression of that design. Most men never hear that in a calm and respectful way. They hear jokes. They hear exaggerated stories. They hear comparisons that are often based on insecurity, not truth. They see images that are edited, selected, angled, and curated to create an illusion. But illusions are expensive. They cost peace of mind. They cost self-respect. And for some men, they cost the ability to enjoy sex without performance anxiety. When a man believes he is too small, his nervous system can start to behave as if he is under threat. That sounds dramatic, but it is real. Stress changes breathing. Stress changes muscle tension. Stress changes blood flow. Stress changes focus. And when the mind is busy judging the body, it becomes harder to feel present in the moment. That is the hidden problem. The issue is often not the body itself. The issue is the fear attached to the body. The average penis is better than most men think because sex is not a ruler. It is not a contest of centimeters. It is a human experience built from many ingredients. A man can have a perfectly average body and still be an outstanding lover. He can still create pleasure, excitement, closeness, and deep satisfaction. He can still be desired. He can still be enough. In fact, for many partners, the qualities that matter most are not size-related at all. They are emotional safety, attentiveness, patience, communication, and the ability to make the other person feel seen and wanted. That last part is important. The nervous system of pleasure is not only in the genitals, it is in the brain. Desire begins in the mind. Anticipation begins in the mind. Relaxation begins in the mind. A partner who feels emotionally safe is more likely to relax, respond, and enjoy the experience. A partner who feels rushed, judged, or pressured is more likely to tense up. So the man who learns how to create comfort and trust often becomes far more effective in intimacy than the man who obsesses over appearance alone. There is also a very practical point that many men do not fully understand. For vaginal sex especially, more size is not automatically better. The body is not a hollow chamber waiting to be filled. It is sensitive, complex, and responsive. Comfort matters. Arousal matters. Gradual buildup matters. Many women report that what they most value is not extreme size, but the quality of the experience. How present their partner is, how responsive he is, how carefully he pays attention, and how well he understands timing and rhythm. In other words, technique and connection often matter more than dimensions. And when it comes to male confidence, the truth is even more powerful. A man who believes he is enough tends to perform better because he is not trapped in self-monitoring. He can listen, he can adapt, he can stay relaxed, he can enjoy touch instead of worrying about whether he is being measured in someone else's mind. That relaxation matters because erection quality, stamina, and arousal are all influenced by blood flow and nervous system balance. Anxiety narrows attention. Calm expands it. This is where science and human experience meet. The penis is a vascular organ. That means erections depend heavily on circulation, hormone signaling, nerve function, and mental state. A healthy cardiovascular system supports sexual function. Good sleep supports sexual function. Exercise supports sexual function. Stress management supports sexual function. So when men think only about size, they may miss the deeper truth. Performance is often more connected to overall health than to anatomy alone. That is one reason the average penis is often more than enough. It is not just the structure itself, it is the system around it. A man with good circulation, steady confidence, healthy habits, and emotional presence can bring far more to intimacy than a man who is larger but distracted, anxious, or disconnected. In everyday life, the body works as a whole. Sexual experience is no different. Many men also forget how distorted their expectations have become. Pornography is entertainment, not education. It is selected for extremes. It often shows bodies that are unusual, enhanced, or presented in ways that exaggerate certain features. And if a young man or an insecure adult repeatedly compares himself to that standard, he may conclude that he is below average when he is not. That comparison can become a wound. It can create shame where none is deserved. Shame is powerful because it can change behavior. A man who feels ashamed may avoid intimacy, rush intimacy, overcompensate, or become obsessed with proving something. None of those reactions improve the experience. They usually make it worse. On the other hand, a man who understands that normal is normal can start to let go of fear. He can shift from "how do I compare" to "how do I connect?" That is a far better question. And this matters beyond sex. Body image affects identity. It affects masculinity. It affects how a man walks into a room, speaks to a partner, and carries himself in private. When a man stops treating his body like an insult and starts treating it like a working, living system, his entire outlook can change. He may eat better, sleep better, move more, worry less. Those changes matter because sexual health is not isolated from the rest of the body. It is part of the body. Some men think the solution is to chase enlargement, gimmicks, or dramatic promises. But the body is not a marketing campaign. It deserves realism. Most enlargement products and miracle claims are unreliable, and some can be harmful. Chasing those promises can distract a man from the things that truly help: regular exercise, weight management, reduced smoking, better blood sugar control, enough sleep, and stress reduction. These are not glamorous solutions, but they are effective ones, and they support the kind of sexual function that lasts. There is also something deeply underrated about confidence itself. Not arrogance, not bragging, confidence. A calm confidence says, "I do not need to prove my value in this moment." That mindset is attractive because it is safe. It creates room for genuine intimacy. It allows a partner to relax. It allows touch to become mutual rather than competitive. And that is where the best sexual experiences are built. The average penis is better than most men think because most men are evaluating it by the wrong standard. They are asking whether it looks impressive enough from the outside. But nature cares more about function than spectacle. A healthy erection is not a trophy, it is a signal. It says the blood vessels are working, the nerves are communicating, the hormones are cooperating, and the mind is engaged enough to allow arousal. That is an elegant system. It deserves respect. It is also worth saying that pleasure is not determined by size in a simple or universal way. Different bodies respond differently. Different people enjoy different sensations. What matters is communication. A man who listens to his partner can learn what feels good. He can adjust. He can become skilled. He can become responsive. That responsiveness often matters far more than any fixed number. Many women do not dream about a perfect measurement. They dream about feeling desired, respected, and understood. They want a partner who is patient enough to notice, sensitive enough to care, and mature enough not to turn intimacy into a performance. Men who understand this often become far more satisfying partners because they stop making the encounter about ego and start making it about experience. And experience is where the average body shines. Think about the role of touch. A hand, a kiss, a voice, eye contact, breathing together, a sense of time slowing down. These are powerful. They build arousal. They build trust. They build anticipation. They create the emotional conditions in which physical pleasure becomes richer. A man who focuses on these things is not settling. He is understanding how human sexuality actually works. The body also responds to safety. When a person feels safe, the nervous system opens. When a person feels evaluated, it closes. That is true in many areas of life, and sex is no exception. So when men obsess over size, they often create the very pressure that disrupts the experience they want to improve. Sometimes the smartest move is not to change the body, it is to change the story. The story should be this: average is normal, and normal is not a weakness. Average can be healthy. Average can be functional. Average can be satisfying. Average can be loving. Average can be deeply pleasurable. In fact, average often leaves more room for comfort, communication, and sustained enjoyment than extremes do. There is a quiet freedom in accepting that. A man does not need to be exceptional in one narrow physical dimension to be exceptional in intimacy. He needs awareness. He needs care. He needs honesty. He needs to be present. Those qualities are trainable. They are learnable. They are available to any man willing to grow beyond insecurity. And that growth pays dividends outside the bedroom too. Men who stop obsessing over one body feature often feel less shame overall. They become kinder to themselves. They stop judging themselves by impossible standards. They begin to notice that confidence, health, and connection have been carrying much more weight than they realized. This kind of shift can improve relationships, reduce anxiety, and make a man more grounded in every part of life. Of course, this does not mean every concern should be dismissed. If a man has pain, a major curvature, trouble getting or maintaining erections, or a sudden change in sexual function, that deserves medical attention. Sexual health matters. It should be taken seriously. But serious attention is different from shame. One is constructive, the other is destructive. A mature approach says, "Let me understand my body," not "let me hate it." That distinction can change everything. It also helps to remember that the average body is the backbone of real-world human intimacy. Most couples are not living inside a fantasy. They are living inside ordinary lives with ordinary stress, ordinary schedules, ordinary bodies, and ordinary needs. And in that real world, average is not a disappointment. Average is where most love, most touch, most laughter, and most satisfaction actually happen. The everyday body is the body that works after a long day, the body that recovers after stress, the body that can still be affectionate, playful, and responsive. So when a man looks at himself and thinks he is behind, he may be measuring with the wrong ruler. The correct measure is not, "How large am I compared to an illusion?" The correct measure is, "How healthy am I? How connected am I? How present am I? How well do I understand intimacy?" Once the question changes, the answer often becomes much kinder. That is why the average penis is better than most men think. Because it is not just about size. It is about the full experience of being a man with a body, a mind, and the ability to connect with another person. It is about function, confidence, and human closeness. It is about understanding that pleasure is created, not measured. It is about knowing that the nervous system can amplify desire when fear is quiet and connection is strong. And maybe that is the real message men need to hear. Not that size never matters in any context, not that every concern is meaningless, but that the obsession with being bigger has distracted too many men from becoming better. Better at listening, better at calming their minds, better at caring for their health, better at creating trust, better at enjoying the moment. The man who learns this becomes freer. He becomes less anxious. He becomes more capable. He becomes more generous. He becomes more effective in intimacy because he is no longer fighting his own reflection. He is working with his body, not against it. That is where confidence begins. That is where pleasure improves. That is where real masculine strength lives, not in comparison, but in acceptance. Not in fear, but in understanding. Not in performing a fantasy, but in showing up as a healthy, attentive, grounded human being. The average penis is not a problem to solve. It is a reality to respect. And once a man respects it, he often discovers something surprising. He was more enough than he ever believed.